Hello there, dear listener. It's time to rest your mind and let the world slow down for a while. Find a comfortable place, maybe your bed or a quiet corner where the night feels kind. Take a deep breath in and slowly let it go. The day is fading, and now only calm remains. Tonight, we'll drift far away from the noise of today, back through time, to a place where history and legend blend like mist over the sea. Close your eyes and imagine soft waves brushing ancient shores, lanterns flickering in distant towers, and a city that once shone brighter than gold. This is the story of Atlantis, a lost civilization whispered about for centuries, a dream beneath the ocean, a memory of wisdom and wonder. So, let's begin our quiet journey together. Let the story carry you, slowly, gently, until sleep finds you. You open your eyes, and for a moment, you cannot tell where the sea ends and the sky begins. Everything shimmers in shades of pale gold and soft blue, as if sunlight and water have woven themselves into one gentle fabric. The air is warm, but light, the kind that kisses the skin instead of weighing it down. You take a slow breath, and the scent of salt and blooming sea lilies fills your lungs. This is Atlantis. Not the ruin that the ocean whispers about today, but the living island itself in its beginning. Long before history began to write its first lines, before kingdoms drew their borders or ships learned to cross vast seas, there was this place, an island of impossible beauty, resting at the heart of the Atlantic Ocean. Its shores curved like a sleeping crescent, surrounded by gentle waves and soft mist. And in the distance, the great city stood, shining under the eternal morning sun. You walk along the sand, and each grain glows faintly like tiny crystals. The people who live here, the Atlanteans, say the island itself is alive. They believe the earth breathes, the ocean listens, and the wind carries the voices of the ancestors. Every rock, every tree, every drop of water has its spirit, and to walk among them is to be part of something vast and kind. The city ahead of you rises in perfect harmony with the landscape. No building is too tall or too heavy for the view. Everything flows together like music. The outer walls are made of white marble that catches the light, while the inner rings shimmer with red and black stone from the island's volcanic heart. Bridges of crystal span over calm canals, and quiet boats drift beneath them, guided by silent water currents. At the center of the city stands the great temple of Poseidon, though here the name means something softer than the storming god of Greek myth. To the Atlanteans, Poseidon is not a ruler of the seas but the spirit of balance, of movement and stillness, of strength and peace. Inside his temple, fountains rise in spirals, reflecting sunlight into the carved walls. The sound of falling water never stops. It hums like a lullaby across the island. The people are unlike any others you have seen in stories. They move slowly, with a calm assurance as if they have all the time in the world. Their garments flow like liquid silk, woven from fibers that shimmer faintly, dyed in colors drawn from the sea itself: deep turquoise, pearl white, coral pink. They speak a language that sounds like wind through hollow shells, and yet somehow you understand it. Not through words, but through feeling. The Atlanteans are builders, thinkers, and dreamers. They believe knowledge is not meant to conquer nature, but to live beside it. Their houses use the breath of the sea to cool the air. Their gardens follow the patterns of the stars, and their crops grow in terraces that drink both sunlight and ocean mist. At night, their lamps do not burn with flame. They glow from crystals that hold light within, as if they remember the sun. You follow a quiet path lined with tall blue trees whose leaves shimmer like glass. Somewhere in the distance, you hear laughter, soft and distant, like children playing near a fountain. The sound reminds you that this world is not a legend yet. It is a living place, filled with ordinary people who wake, work, and rest beneath the same sky you now see. An old storyteller sits beside the path, her hair silver and loose around her shoulders. She smiles at you as if she's been waiting. "Do you wish to know how it began?" she asks gently. Her voice is smooth and slow, like the tide. You nod. She points to the horizon, where the sun floats above the waves. Once, long before the first human cities rose, the earth was young and restless. Great islands moved, mountains grew, and the sea sang songs of creation. From one such song, Atlantis was born, an island shaped not by accident, but by intention. She pauses, letting the ocean breeze fill the silence. Here, nature and spirit made a covenant. The island promised to shelter those who sought wisdom without greed, harmony without pride. And so our ancestors came, travelers from far lands, guided by dreams and stars. They built not to rule, but to understand. Every stone they placed was a prayer for balance. You listen as she describes the early days, the building of canals that mimicked the veins of living creatures, the gathering of scholars who studied the dance of the planets, and the creation of the first great crystal which powered light and warmth without flame or smoke. "The crystal," she whispers, "was not a machine as you might think. It was alive, a memory of sunlight, caught and held inside the earth. It taught us that all things are connected, that energy is not to be owned, but shared." As her words fade, you notice something strange. A faint vibration under your feet, like the heartbeat of the island itself. The ground hums softly, in rhythm with your breath. You realize now what she meant. Atlantis is alive. Every living being here is part of one greater pulse. You walk again through the city as twilight begins to fall. The sky becomes violet, and the marble streets begin to glow softly in response, like starlight captured in stone. Families gather in open courtyards. Music rises, gentle flutes, low drums, voices humming in harmony. The sound doesn't disturb the air. It blends with the wind and the waves. In this place there are no walls of fear, no hunger, no haste. Time itself seems to move differently, slower, more forgiving. You begin to understand why so many stories across centuries have dreamed of returning here. Atlantis was not only a city, it was an idea, the dream of perfect balance between human and nature, between knowledge and peace. You sit near the edge of a reflecting pool. The water mirrors the stars that have just begun to appear. For a moment, you can't tell which side is the sky and which is the reflection. A young Atlantean child sits beside you and drops a glowing crystal into the pool. The water ripples softly, spreading circles of light outward. "It listens," the child whispers. "What does?" you ask. "The world," they smile. "If you are quiet, it always listens." The night deepens. The music fades. The city of Atlantis glows beneath the stars, suspended between sea and sky, dream and memory. You close your eyes, and you can almost feel the heartbeat of the world. Calm, steady, timeless. Perhaps, you think, Atlantis was never truly lost. Perhaps it lives somewhere still, not beneath the ocean, but within the quiet places of the human heart. And as the waves murmur against the shore, the sound grows softer. slower, until it becomes the rhythm of sleep itself. When morning returns to Atlantis, it arrives gently, like silk drawn across the sky. The air glows with the faint warmth of dawn, and the sound of the ocean folds softly into the city's breath. You wake in a room of curved stone and open light. No sharp corners, no heavy walls. Everything here is shaped to flow, to welcome the movement of the air and the rhythm of the sea. Outside your window, the canals shimmer like ribbons of liquid glass, winding through the shining white streets. It is said that in this time, the golden age of Atlantis, the island knew no hunger, no greed, and no haste. Life was balanced, like a great circle, turning slowly, always returning to peace. You step outside and follow the morning crowd. The city is alive, but never loud. The people move with quiet purpose, each one knowing their place within the harmony. There are no kings who command, and no servants who bow. Only councils of wise men and women, chosen not for their power, but for their patience. They gather beneath crystal domes that catch sunlight and scatter it into the air like gentle rainbows. Every morning, the city hums with learning. Schools open their doors to all, children, workers, dreamers, travelers. In Atlantis, knowledge is not something owned or hidden. It is a river that everyone may drink from. You pass by one of these learning halls, its floor made of polished coral, its walls alive with moving patterns of light that shift as teachers speak. A gentle voice invites you inside. The lesson is not of war or conquest, but of patterns. How the stars mirror the spirals of seashells, how the pulse of a heart echoes the rhythm of the tides. You realize that in Atlantis, science and spirit are not two languages, but one. To understand the world is to love it. To love it is to protect it. When you walk again through the streets, you begin to notice how every corner breathes with intention. Gardens climb up the walls of homes, spilling flowers that hum softly when touched by sunlight. The canals do not merely carry water, they carry light, flowing over hidden crystals that keep the air pure and cool. The people's laughter is quiet but full, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. They greet you with a word that means both hello and peace. Talena, they say. You return the greeting, and their smiles linger like sunlight on the skin. At midday, you find yourself standing in the central plaza, a vast open circle where the great council meets. The ground beneath your feet feels warm, pulsing faintly. In its center stands the Heartstone, a crystal taller than 3 men, its surface clear as water. It glows softly from within, as if lit by memory. Around it, the people gather, not to worship, but to listen. Every 7th day, the Heartstone hums with a tone so deep and pure it can be felt more than heard. The sound travels through the ground, across the city, through the sea, and even into the clouds above. The Atlanteans believe this vibration keeps the island in balance, a heartbeat shared between the land and its people. You place your hand against the stone. For a brief moment, your body becomes weightless. You can feel the energy moving, like the tide of the universe itself, gentle but infinite. Do you feel it? Asks a voice beside you. It is an elder of the council, their eyes bright with calm wisdom. That is the song of our beginning, they say. We do not command the earth, we listen to it. When we are still, it sings. You walk with them through the heart of the city. They tell you stories, how long ago the first Atlanteans built the canals by watching the movement of fish, how they learned to build with light stones that floated on water, how they discovered the secret of the great crystals which gather sunlight and moonlight holding energy within. Our ancestors believed that knowledge without kindness is hollow, the elder says softly. So we teach both, the mind to understand and the heart to forgive. As you walk, you begin to see what makes this age golden. It is not the gold of wealth or power, but of light, the way understanding and peace glow together. The people's inventions serve not pride, but harmony. Airships drift quietly above the city, shaped like shells, gliding on invisible currents. Gardens float upon the canals, held aloft by magnetic stones that hum faintly as they spin. Even the animals here live without fear. White birds circle above, and dolphins swim freely in the harbor, unafraid of humans. In the afternoon, the elder invites you to the Hall of Records, a vast library carved deep into the mountain S side. The air there is cool and still. Thousands of tablets, scrolls, and crystal discs glow faintly in the dim light. Each holds the memory of an age, written not in words, but in patterns of sound and color. You touch one of them. It responds with a gentle warmth, showing you scenes of early Atlantis, forests blooming where the sea now lies, and the first builders shaping their homes beside waterfalls of light. The images fade slowly, leaving you with a quiet sense of awe. The past, the elder says, is not something gone. It breathes within us. Every moment we remember rightly, we live again. As the day fades, you walk to the western cliffs. The sea stretches endlessly before you, turning golden beneath the setting sun. Across the horizon, tall towers glimmer faintly. The outer cities of Atlantis, spread across smaller islands, each connected by shimmering causeways. From here, the whole kingdom seems to float, not on water, but on light. You sit beside the elder, and together you watch as night begins to fall. The stars appear, one by one, until the whole sky mirrors the pattern of the canals below. It is said the city was built to match the constellations, that each district aligns with a star so that heaven and earth reflect each other. The elder turns to you. When our hearts grow restless, they say softly, we look to the stars. They remind us of where we come from and where we must return. You close your eyes and listen. The city hums beneath you, a low, peaceful resonance like the heartbeat of a sleeping giant. The waves brush the cliffs below in slow rhythm, and the wind carries the scent of flowers and salt. You think of the people, their calm, their kindness, their endless patience. You think of how they live not in fear of loss, but in gratitude for presence. You wonder if this is what true civilization means. Not grand monuments or armies, but harmony, quiet and enduring. The elder's voice drifts through the dusk. One day, they whisper, the sea may reclaim this place, but what we are, what we have learned, will never sink. The light we have kindled cannot be drowned. The stars shimmer above you like scattered crystals, and for a long, still moment, the world seems to hold its breath. Atlantis sleeps, wrapped in silver light, its people dreaming gentle dreams beneath the endless sky. And as the waves whisper softly against the shore, you feel yourself drifting too, into the quiet rhythm of their peace. Perhaps this, you think, is what perfection feels like. Not loud, not bright, but calm. A golden age, not of riches, but of rest. The morning mist rises from the ocean like a soft curtain, unveiling a calm, new day. You stand at the harbor of Atlantis, where ships shaped like crescent moons rest upon still waters. Their hulls are smooth and pale, made from living stone that glows faintly in the dawn. Around you, the air hums with quiet preparation. Sailors, scholars, and healers gathering under the golden light. Today, Atlantis looks beyond itself. For many generations, the island has lived in harmony, peaceful, prosperous, self-sustaining. But now, curiosity calls across the horizon. The Atlanteans have begun to look outward, toward distant lands they once only imagined in dreams. You step onto one of the great vessels, its decks carved with symbols that shimmer softly. There are no sails here, only great crystal pillars that catch sunlight and turn it into silent movement. As the ship glides forward, the ocean parts gently, as if it welcomes you. The journey is calm, the waves whispering their ancient rhythm beneath your feet. For days, or perhaps weeks, though time feels slower here, you travel with the crew. The Atlanteans do not conquer, they visit. Their purpose is to share, to learn, to understand the patterns of other worlds. And so they sail across the wide ocean, guided by the stars that mirror their own canals at home. The first land you reach is a place of golden sands and high river banks, an early Egypt, long before the great pyramids rise. The people there gather in wonder as your vessel approaches. They have never seen ships that move without wind or oars, nor people whose garments shimmer like light on water. The Atlantean ambassador steps forward, not a ruler, but a teacher. He bows low, offering gifts of knowledge, maps of the stars, healing herbs from the ocean, crystals that hold light even after the sun has set. In return, the river people show their wisdom, their understanding of floods and soil, of planting by the moon, of honoring the spirits that live in the water. You watch as they speak, not through words alone, but through gestures, songs, and shared wonder. There is no sense of power between them, only exchange. It feels like watching two worlds remember that they are one. As days pass, small traces of Atlantean thought begin to root here. The river dwellers start shaping their temples with new precision, aligning them with the path of the stars. They carve symbols that echo Atlantean geometry, spirals, circles, lines that point toward balance. In return, the Atlanteans bring home stories of a sun god, a divine cycle of life and rebirth that mirrors their own beliefs of balance and renewal. When you return to the ship, the sea welcomes you once more. The next destination lies beyond, to the east, where mountains touch the sky and cities grow beside fertile plains. The voyage leads you to the land that will one day become Mesopotamia, the cradle of writing, of laws, of time itself. You arrive at dusk, and the rivers reflect a copper light as the stars begin to appear. Here, too, the Atlanteans are received not as strangers, but as travelers from a distant dream. They build schools beside the water, teaching the art of measuring seasons, guiding trade by the stars, and crafting irrigation channels that move with natural flow instead of against it. In return, they learn from the people how clay can hold memory, how marks pressed into earth can record the story of a lifetime. Perhaps it is from these moments that the first written symbols are born, a merging of the Atlantean desire for harmony and the human longing to remember. You stay in Mesopotamia for many moons, wandering the soft plains, feeling the balance between sky and earth. You begin to notice echoes of Atlantis here too, the way temples rise like the tiers of the Atlantean rings, the way priests chart the heavens, believing that the stars hold the secrets of divine order. It is said that long after Atlantis fades into legend, these ideas will remain, carried in memory, reshaped by time, whispered in myths of gods descending from the sea. When you return once more to the ship, you feel a quiet pride in your heart, not of conquest, but of connection. You have seen how knowledge travels like light, never lost, only transformed. The journey continues south, toward islands heavy with green forests and mist. There, the Atlanteans meet tribes who live close to the earth, who sing to the spirits of trees and waves. They do not build cities, they build songs. The Atlanteans listen, and in listening, they learn a deeper truth, that wisdom does not always come from stone and crystal, but from silence, from the rhythm of the living world. When you return to Atlantis months later, the city seems brighter, or perhaps your eyes see it differently now. The council gathers to listen to the travelers' stories. They speak of deserts that bloom when the rivers rise, of mountains that hum in the wind, of people who carve their prayers into the sides of cliffs. The great temple records every tale, adding it to the memory of the island. In glowing symbols upon crystal tablets, the stories of the world are preserved, not as trophies, but as gifts. Atlantis becomes not only an island of beauty, but a bridge between worlds. You spend quiet evenings on the terraces, watching the ships return one by one, glowing faintly under the stars. Each vessel carries new seeds, new knowledge, new friendships. The harbor becomes a meeting place of tongues and songs, of laughter and wonder. Children of Atlantis grow up hearing stories of lands beyond the sea, of rivers that speak, mountains that breathe, and people whose hearts hold the same longing for peace. And somewhere deep inside, a question begins to form in their dreams. If all worlds are connected, what is our place among them? You lie beneath the stars that night, feeling the gentle hum of the island's heart beneath you. The air smells of salt and rain. In the distance, the great crystal glows with a pulse like breath. You close your eyes, and for a moment you see lines of light stretching across the world, threads connecting all that lives, all that learns, all that hopes. Perhaps that was the true gift of Atlantis. Not the shining cities or the glowing stones, but the understanding that every world, every being, every breath belongs to one great harmony. The waves sigh softly against the shore. The night deepens. The city hums its gentle song. And as you drift towards sleep, you can almost hear the voices of distant lands calling back. Soft, familiar, grateful. Their echoes weave with the wind, and you understand. Atlantis has begun to share its light with the world. Morning in Atlantis begins not with sound, but with light. Soft beams rise from beneath the horizon, touching the white domes and mirrored canals until the whole city glows, as if the island itself has awakened. You step outside, and the air greets you with gentle warmth, carrying the faint scent of ocean spray and flowers that bloom only when the tide is low. You are living now in the age of growth, a time when Atlantis stands at the height of its harmony and achievement. The quiet wisdom of the past has blossomed into gentle innovation, woven seamlessly into every part of life. The canals hum with energy drawn from deep within the earth, the same crystal power that lights the great temple. Bridges arch in elegant curves, their surfaces alive with slow-moving patterns of light that shift like rippling water. Floating gardens drift between the waterways, filled with silver-leaved vines and blossoms that reflect the morning sun. Everywhere you walk, you sense balance between the old and the new, between knowledge and care. At the center of the city, a tower rises higher than any before. It is called the Spire of Harmony. The Atlanteans do not build it to reach the heavens, but to listen to them. Its walls are made of translucent stone, embedded with fine channels that capture the whisper of the wind. When the breeze passes through, the entire tower sings, a low, resonant tone that vibrates through the island like a heartbeat. You climb the steps slowly. The air grows cooler the higher you rise. At the top, the view opens, an endless circle of blue and green, the ocean stretching beyond sight. Around the tower's rim, instruments turn quietly, measuring the language of the sky, the motion of clouds, the pull of the moon, the path of the stars. Atlantean scholars move with calm focus, writing patterns into smooth crystal tablets. They study not to rule nature, but to understand its rhythm, to see how each part of existence breathes with the others. Theirs is a science of empathy, not of control. When you look down at the city, you notice the quiet miracles that fill daily life. Farmers use fields that float just above the water, their roots fed by mineral-rich mist. Artisans craft tools of light metal that hum softly when held, tuned to the frequency of the body, making work gentle and effortless. In the workshops, children learn not just how to build, but how to listen, to feel when a design is in balance with the world around it. Even music is part of this growth. Each evening, as the sun falls into the sea, the air fills with soft, layered melodies played on instruments of glass and wind. The sound flows through the canals and courtyards, and sometimes, if you close your eyes, you cannot tell whether you are hearing music or the ocean itself. But perhaps the most wondrous of all Atlantean creations is hidden beneath the city, deep in a vast chamber carved into the living rock. There lies the heart crystal, the largest ever found, glowing with a pure, steady light. It is said to hum in perfect harmony with the planet's pulse. The Atlanteans learned to draw gentle energy from it, enough to power their lights, to warm their homes, to keep the sea calm around their shores. You are invited one evening to see it. The descent is silent, lit by soft lamps that float in the air like fireflies. The deeper you go, the more the air changes. Not heavy, but alive, vibrating with a faint rhythm that matches your heartbeat. When you enter the great chamber, the sight takes your breath away. The heart crystal stands at its center, tall as a mountain's root, clear as morning water. Streams of light move through it in slow waves, blue, silver, and gold. Around it, quiet figures move in graceful patterns, tending to the energy lines that flow outward like veins of light into the city above. One of the keepers, an elderly woman with eyes like polished stone, turns to you. "Do you feel it?" she whispers. You nod. The sound is not sound at all, but sensation. A calm vibration that fills your chest, your pulse, even your breath. "This is the gift of the earth," she says softly. "It asks for nothing but respect. It gives when we give in return." She shows you how the Atlanteans renew the balance, by releasing energy back into the crystal whenever the island harmony feels strained. They do this not through machines, but through song. Together they sing a tone so deep and clear that the entire chamber trembles. It feels as if the whole world joins in, sea, stone, wind, and stars, one perfect note of peace. You stay there for a long time, eyes closed, listening. When you emerge again, night has fallen. The city above glows softly beneath the stars. From the spire of harmony, a slow pulse of light moves outward, across the canals, across the sea, beyond the horizon. It feels alive, like a message to the world. We are here, and we are whole. In this golden era, the people of Atlantis have found balance not just within themselves, but with the entire earth. They trade with far lands, not for wealth, but for wisdom. They share healing crystals, knowledge of the stars, and gentle tools that purify water and air. In return, they learn new stories, new songs, and new dreams. Their art blossoms, paintings that move with light, sculptures that hum with energy, poetry carved into crystal that glows when read aloud. Even the children's toys are lessons in harmony, small floating orbs that respond to laughter, changing color with joy. You walk through the quiet streets one evening and see families gathered by the water's edge, watching as luminous fish rise to the surface, their scales reflecting the city lights. The scene feels timeless, as if peace itself has found a home here. You wonder, as you always do, whether perfection can last. But the thought drifts away like a leaf on the tide. For now, the island breathes in peace. The people sleep under a sky filled with starlight and the low hum of the living sea. You lie back and close your eyes. The sound of Atlantis surrounds you. Soft wind, distant music, the slow pulse of the crystal beneath the ground. In the darkness, a gentle voice, perhaps only in your dream, whispers, "Growth is not in rising higher, but in learning how to stay in harmony." The waves roll against the shore, slow and even, like the breath of a sleeping world. The light of Atlantis flickers softly in the distance, steady, serene, eternal. And as you drift into sleep, you realize that the island's greatest creation was never its crystal or its towers. It was its peace. The first sign is almost invisible, a faint shimmer in the tide pools, a quiet pause in the wind, a whisper beneath the song of the sea. For centuries, Atlantis has lived in perfect balance. Its towers bright, its people kind, its days slow and golden. But even harmony must breathe, and sometimes the breath catches. It begins with the sky. One morning, the dawn arrives late. The light feels different, softer in some places, sharp in others. Scholars gather at the spire of harmony to measure the air, the water, the pulse of the island. Nothing seems wrong, and yet the readings drift, just slightly, like a heartbeat that skips now and then. At first, the people smile. Perhaps the earth is dreaming, they say, but a few, the oldest among them, exchange quiet looks. They have felt this before, long ago before the age of growth, when the sea spoke in restless tones. You stand at the shore one evening, watching the waves roll in. The water glows faintly under the moon, shimmering with colors not seen before, pale green, deep violet, and gold. It is beautiful, almost hypnotic. Yet beneath that beauty lies something unsettled, as if the sea itself were sighing. The next day, the air feels heavier. Birds fly lower. The luminous fish that once danced near the canals stay deep beneath the surface. The heart crystal still hums, but its tone has changed. A note slightly out of tune. The keepers gather in the crystal chamber, singing to restore the harmony. Their voices echo softly, a chorus of calm and care. The light steadies for a moment, then trembles again. The elder keeper closes her eyes. "It is not the crystal that falters," she says gently. "It is us." You do not understand at first, but then you see what she means. In their golden age, the Atlanteans have grown curious, endlessly curious. They have begun to build more towers, deeper canals, grander machines to draw energy from the earth. Their hearts remain kind, but their pace has changed. What once was calm intention now feels like hunger for perfection. Even beauty can be restless. You walk through the markets of Atlantis, once filled with laughter and song. They are still lovely, full of colors and fragrant air, but now you notice a quiet competition. Artists speak softly of whose crystal glows brighter, whose music can move the stars. Inventors whisper of stronger energies, of harnessing storms to power distant lands. No one means harm. Yet the rhythm of the city has quickened. The harmony that once connected every thought and every breath begins to stretch thin. At the spire of harmony, scholars observe strange readings in the currents below the island. The ocean's warmth shifts, and deep rumblings rise from the trenches far beneath. Some believe it is nothing, the earth turning in its long sleep. Others sense it is a warning. You sit by the water at dusk with a friend, one of the scholars who studies the tides. She watches the horizon quietly, her fingers tracing patterns in the sand. "The balance has tilted," she whispers, "not because we have done wrong, but because we have forgotten how to listen." She looks at you with gentle sadness. "We wanted to make the world sing louder, but sometimes the world prefers silence." Her words linger in your heart. In the weeks that follow, the skies change color more often. Sunsets burn deep crimson. Nights shimmer with strange auroras. The island is still breathtaking, but the peace feels fragile, like glass that hums before it cracks. One evening, a tremor ripples through the city. It is small, almost playful, but the sound is new, a low groan rising from beneath the sea floor. The spire of harmony sways, its crystals chiming softly in protest. The people gather in the open squares, unsure whether to fear or to marvel. The elders tell them to stay calm. They remind everyone that Atlantis was built with care, with love, with reverence for the earth. And yet, beneath their soothing words, even they seem uncertain. That night, you return to the chamber of the heart crystal. The keepers are there again, surrounding the great light. It pulses unevenly, bright, dim, bright again. The air vibrates with an unsteady rhythm. One of the younger keepers steps forward, his voice trembling. "What if we release too much energy?" he asks. The elder smiles gently. "Energy does not vanish, child. It returns to the world, but it may not return where we expect." They begin to sing again, voices soft but steady. The crystal responds slowly, its glow smoothing into calmer waves. You feel the vibration pass through you, warm, grounding, patient. For a moment, it feels as though all will be well. And perhaps it will. For in Atlantis, even in its first whispers of imbalance, there is no anger, no violence, no despair, only learning. The people begin to remember what they once knew, that harmony is not a state to be kept, but a dance to be renewed, again and again. You see it in small ways. Children play by the canals, singing the old songs that balance the wind. Farmers slow their work, listening once more to the rhythm of the soil. Artisans rebuild with gentler hands, crafting not to impress but to soothe. The city breathes again, slower, quieter. The skies remain strange. The sea still murmurs uneasily, but the people move in kindness. They plant trees whose roots will hold the island steady. They weave stories to remind the next generation that perfection is not peace. Understanding is. You stand at the spire one last time before dawn. The first light touches the horizon, pale and trembling. The elder keeper joins you. "Every age has its challenge," she says softly. "Even the most peaceful heart must sometimes learn how to bend." She smiles. "If we listen closely enough, the earth always tells us how to heal." And as the sun rises, the island glows once more. The towers shimmer in golden mist, the canals mirror the sky, and for a fleeting moment, you feel Atlantis breathe. calm, resilient, alive. The harmony is not perfect, but it is real. It hums beneath your feet, within your chest, and far below, in the heart of the living sea. You close your eyes and let the sound carry you. Gentle, slow, endless. Morning arrives slowly in Atlantis. Not in bright flashes or restless colors, but in a quiet, pale light that slips between the towers like breath. The air is softer now, almost fragile, as if the island itself were sighing after a long night. The people wake gently. No bells, no sudden voices, only the steady hum of the heart crystal beneath the city and the low murmur of waves curling against the shore. You step outside and feel the warmth of the stones under your bare feet. It feels older now, wiser somehow, as though the island has seen its reflection and chosen to grow differently. The age of challenge has left a mark, not of ruin, but of realization. The Atlanteans have learned that even harmony can drift when not tended to with care. And so, they begin again, not with grand speeches or new inventions, but with quiet intentions. The first change begins in the gardens. The fields that once shone with bright crystal irrigation now glow with a subtler light. Farmers no longer draw endless power from the depths of the sea. Instead, they work with the rhythms of tide and sun. They call it the renewal. You walk among them one morning, and they greet you with peaceful smiles. A woman kneels beside the water's edge, letting small glass-like seeds drift into the current. The ocean carries them, she tells you softly, and brings them back when they are ready. Atlantis begins to breathe again, not as a machine, but as a living soul. Artisans return to the old crafts. The giant engines that once powered the towers now rest, covered in vines. In their place, crystal wind spheres spin lazily in the ocean breeze, humming lullabies that calm both mind and sea. Children learn not only science, but silence. In the crystal schools, lessons now include the art of listening, to water, to air, to one's own heartbeat. They call this practice the still hour, when the entire island pauses together for a single moment each day. And in that pause, something changes. The city seems to remember what it means to feel alive without rushing. You walk through the grand hall one afternoon and notice how the murals have changed. The walls once told stories of discovery and conquest. Now they tell stories of renewal, of people planting trees, guiding the tides, caring for the smallest creatures in the sea. The artists use gentler colors now, soft gold, muted green, silver blue. Everywhere there is a sense of balance returning. Even the heart crystal seems calmer. Its light no longer pulses erratically. The keepers, who once spent sleepless nights singing to steady its rhythm, now visit it less often. They trust it again. Or perhaps it trusts them. The elder keeper, her silver hair reflecting the glow of the crystal, tells you one evening, "We thought we were the guardians of this power, but truly it has always been the guardian of us." Her words sink into you like warm light through water. Days pass, then weeks. The ocean's tone deepens. The strange auroras that once painted the sky begin to fade, replaced by slow drifting clouds. The island's weather softens, as though soothed by its own patience. Yet, change never sleeps. Atlantis begins to dream again, but differently this time. No longer of empire or endless expansion, but of understanding. Scholars study the old ways, not to rebuild them, but to learn their meaning. They rediscover small inventions once forgotten, energy that grows from coral, glass that breathes like living skin, songs that heal the air. And slowly, these discoveries reshape life across the island. Homes glow not with blinding power, but with soft inner warmth. Streets hum with low tones that keep time with the tides. Even the gardens sing now, a faint vibration from the roots, harmonizing with the rhythm of the sea. It is as though Atlantis has chosen to evolve into something gentler, wiser, neither old nor new, but whole. One evening, as you sit by the canal, you notice children releasing small crystal boats into the water. Tiny lights flicker within them, floating toward the sea. "What are those?" you ask. A boy smiles. "They're called wishes for tomorrow. We send them out so the ocean remembers us kindly." You watch the little boats drift until they vanish into the mist. The air feels full of peace, yet also of something deeper, an acceptance of cycles, of endings and beginnings woven together. Later that night, you climb to the top of the Spire of Harmony. The view stretches far, a world wrapped in soft moonlight. The city below glows like a constellation, quiet and breathing. You can almost feel its pulse through the soles of your feet. The Elder Keeper stands beside you again. "Do you hear it?" she asks. At first, you hear only the wind. Then, faintly, a low, steady hum rising from the ocean depths. "The world is singing again," she whispers, not loudly, not perfectly, but truly. You close your eyes and listen. The sound is ancient and new all at once, the echo of balance rediscovered. Atlantis has entered its era of renewal. It is not an age of conquest or invention. It is an age of remembering that all progress must return eventually to stillness. That wisdom grows only when nurtured by humility. That beauty endures only when shared with care. As you drift toward sleep, you imagine walking once more through the quiet streets, past the glowing canals, past gardens where flowers hum like tiny bells. Everything feels alive, yet at rest, as if the entire civilization has learned the secret rhythm of peace. And deep below the waves, the ocean smiles. The currents move in time with the city's breath. The creatures of the sea glide through the coral-lit depths unafraid. For even they know, Atlantis has remembered its place in the great song of the world. You stand at the edge of the water one last time before dawn. The sky glows with the softest blue. You whisper to the sea, "We are learning." The tide rolls in gently, touching your toes as if to answer, "Yes, and we are listening." You breathe, slow and deep. The city hums around you, warm, timeless, alive. The age of renewal has begun, and beneath the tranquil waves, Atlantis dreams on. You wake before sunrise. The world is still gray and hushed, the sea lying flat like glass. Somewhere below the surface, the heart crystal hums a note so deep it seems to blend with your heartbeat. Atlantis is quiet, yet you can feel its thoughts stretching far beyond the horizon. The elders call this era the Age of Connection. They say every sound, every shimmer of light on the water travels endlessly outward. The ocean is a messenger. It carries memories. It carries stories. You walk through the morning mist toward the eastern harbor, where the scholars gather beside a shimmering pool they call the Mirror of Worlds. The pool is not magic, at least not in the way tales will one day describe. It is a map made of sound and vibration. When the scholars sing in harmony, ripples form on its surface, tracing lines that reach across oceans. Today, they are tracing voices from distant lands. You hear faint echoes, languages unfamiliar yet musical. The scholars whisper, they are dreaming too. Atlantis has learned to listen again, and in that listening, it begins to hear others. Through trade and gentle exploration, the Atlanteans find kindred minds scattered across the earth. They meet sailors from green islands to the west, farmers from sunlit deltas, stargazers from dry deserts who measure time by the dance of the moon. None of these people call their home Atlantis, yet their hearts carry the same longing, to understand the world and live gently within it. When you close your eyes, you can almost see them. The builders who raise stone circles to follow the stars, the scribes who carve flowing symbols into clay, the healers who whisper to herbs before dawn. They are far away, but their rhythms feel familiar, as if the melody of Atlantis has found 1,000 soft echoes. The elders say knowledge must travel like light, never hoarded, always shared. So Atlantean navigators set sail again, not as conquerors, but as guests. Their ships glide on quiet power drawn from the sea's own movement. They bring with them gifts that are not of gold or crystal, but of understanding. How to read the tide, how to balance earth and water, how to build with stone that breathes. Everywhere they go, they learn as much as they teach. In Egypt, they study the patience of the river. In Sumer, they learn the wisdom of written memory. Among the island peoples, they learn songs that guide travelers by stars alone. At night, you sit beside a harbor fire as sailors tell these stories. The flames shimmer pale blue, reflected in their eyes. One speaks of a city beyond mountains where people call the sun a living god. Another describes a northern shore where auroras paint the sky just as they once did over Atlantis. Each tale feels like a thread in a great weaving. Atlantis is no longer an island apart. It is a heartbeat in a global body. The heart crystal begins to vibrate in new tones, softer and richer. The keepers say it responds to gratitude carried back across the sea. The more the world learns, the more the island glows. Scholars begin to collect symbols from distant peoples. They place them side by side with Atlantean glyphs and find that many share shapes and meanings. Circles for life, triangles for balance, spirals for time. Perhaps we all remember the same dream, says one scholar. You wander through the hall of memory, where these symbols shine on smooth stone. The air hums with quiet awe. You touch one, a spiral carved from moonstone, and feel a pulse beneath your fingertips. It is gentle, like breathing. The elders speak often now of legacy, not of monuments or machines, but of influence, ideas that will ripple forward long after Atlantis has sunk from sight. They believe that nothing is truly lost, only transformed. Knowledge becomes myth. Myth becomes inspiration. Inspiration becomes new creation. One evening, you climb the cliffs above the harbor. The sun is sinking into a horizon of silver clouds, and the world glows like an old memory. A child sits nearby, sketching waves in the sand with a crystal stylus. "What are you drawing?" you ask. "The world," the child answers, "not how it is, but how it listens." The answer makes you smile. It feels like something the elders would say. Down below, ships set sail once more. They vanish into mist, carrying quiet minds and open hearts. None of them know that, centuries later, stories of their journeys will survive as myths. The sea gods, the wise teachers, the lost travelers who came from the deep. You wonder if perhaps that is how memory wishes to live. Not in perfect facts, but in stories soft enough to be retold by many voices. As night falls, the stars brighten above the spire of harmony. The constellations shimmer like pathways, each one leading toward some distant shore. The scholars believe these stars are guides not only for sailors, but for thought itself, reminders that curiosity should always travel hand in hand with care. You sit quietly, breathing in the salt air. The ocean's surface is smooth, the waves whispering only small secrets. You think about how many generations will come after, how many will search for Atlantis and never truly find it, because it was never just a place. It was an idea, a way of seeing the world as a living, connected whole. The Elder Keeper joins you, carrying a small lantern made of translucent shell. Its light flickers softly in the wind. Atlantis will fade one day, she says, not sadly, but like a lullaby. But listen, do you hear the world answering back? You listen. The sound of distant surf becomes the breath of many lands. The murmur of the wind becomes the voices of countless peoples learning, building, remembering. Yes, you whisper. I hear it. She nods. Then Atlantis will never be gone. The lantern light reflects in the waves, scattering across the water like 1,000 tiny suns. For a moment, it looks as though the whole ocean is alight, glowing from within. Perhaps it is the sea itself remembering. You feel your eyes grow heavy. The stars drift lazily above, as if they too are dreaming. Somewhere in the distance, the faint song of the heart crystal hums through the deep, weaving its melody into every current. It is a song that will travel through ages, carried by tide, by wind, by human wonder. It will whisper to builders and philosophers, to explorers and dreamers, to children who draw circles in the sand, and whenever someone listens closely enough, to the ocean, to the wind, to their own quiet thoughts, the rhythm of Atlantis will rise again, gentle as breath. You close your eyes and let that sound cradle you. The sea sighs, the air cools, and the night folds around you like a calm, endless tide. Atlantis lives on, not as a city, but as a way of hearing the world. Dawn arrives like a whisper. No trumpets, no storms, only a gradual bloom of light spreading across the sea like paint upon still water. You stand at the edge of the cliffs, the wind soft on your face, and you realize something gentle but immense. Atlantis is quiet now, yet it is not gone. The island seems almost to float between moments as if existing both above and below the waves. The air carries a scent of salt and memory. The towers shimmer faintly, translucent in the morning mist. Somewhere deep beneath your feet, the heart crystal still hums its low, eternal note, a sound that feels less like power and more like breathing. In this era, there are fewer people. The scholars have sailed to distant lands. The gardens grow untended, yet still in balance. The canals are calm. The wind spheres turn slowly as though resting. Atlantis has entered what the keepers call the age of reflection. You walk through the quiet streets. Every stone seems to remember footsteps, laughter, songs. The walls glow faintly, storing echoes of voices long gone. The air feels alive with history, soft, patient, forgiving. At the center of the city stands the spire of harmony, still tall, though vines wrap its base in emerald spirals. You climb its steps, slow and deliberate, until you reach the open platform above. From here, the sea stretches endlessly, a vast mirror of light. You look down and realize how the city has changed. What once was shining gold is now pale silver. What once hummed loudly now hums barely at all. Yet in that stillness lies something deeper, a kind of peace no invention could ever create. The Elder Keeper meets you there. Her face is older, her eyes softer, her voice a whisper that blends with the wind. "Everything moves in circles," she says. "The sea rises, the sea falls, civilizations bloom, then rest. Even the stars drift and return. Atlantis is no exception." You ask her if the island will sink. She smiles. "Perhaps, but sinking is only one kind of becoming. What falls into the sea is not lost. It is transformed." Her words carry no sadness, only calm truth. You realize that the Atlanteans have always known this ending would come. Not as punishment, not as tragedy, but as a return. A homecoming to the very ocean that first cradled their beginnings. That evening, the people gather one last time in the central square. There are no speeches, no farewells, only quiet music. Instruments made from crystal and shell hum softly, their tones weaving through the warm air like a lullaby. Children release floating lanterns onto the canals, tiny spheres of light drifting toward the sea. The glow reflects in their eyes as they watch in silence. One by one, the lanterns fade into the horizon until the night becomes filled with a gentle starlight, above and below. You feel the faint tremor of change beneath your feet, but it no longer frightens you. The island's rhythm feels steady, inevitable. It is not collapse, it is completion. Before dawn, you visit the heart crystal once more. It fills the chamber with a soft silver light. The keepers stand in a circle, their voices low and peaceful. "We have learned," one murmurs. "We have remembered," whispers another. "We have shared," says the elder. And then they fall silent, simply breathing together in time with the crystal's glow. You step forward and place your hand upon its surface. The warmth spreads through you, not fiery, but comforting, like sunlight through deep water. For a moment you see visions, rivers flowing backward into the sea, seeds turning into stars, the earth turning slowly beneath the waves. You see other lands, mountains rising where Atlantis once stood, people in distant ages gazing at the horizon and wondering what lies beyond. You hear faint echoes of languages not yet born, stories told by firelight about a golden island that vanished long ago. And in those stories, you recognize the rhythm of truth. Atlantis did not disappear. It became a dream shared by the whole world. The sea begins to rise, quietly, gracefully. The canals overflow. The streets shimmer with reflection. The people do not run. They watch, serene, as the water folds around them like a returning embrace. You climb to the top of the spire one last time. The sky above is pale gold, the water below luminous blue. For a moment, both meet at the horizon. Sky and sea, beginning and end, all the same. The elder keeper stands beside you. "When we are gone," she says softly, "listen to the ocean. It will tell our story in every wave." You nod, unable to speak. The tide reaches the base of the spire. The sound is not of destruction, but of completion, like the final chord of a long, beautiful song. The towers shimmer, the gardens glow. The air fills with a soft radiance that feels both farewell and awakening. You close your eyes. The hum of the heart crystal deepens, then fades into the rhythm of the sea. The light becomes brighter, then softer, then infinite. And then silence, but not emptiness. When you open your eyes again, you are standing on a quiet shore in another time. The sea is the same, but the world around you is new. There are no towers now, no crystals, only sand, sky, and the faint echo of a melody you can almost remember. You pick up a shell. Inside, you hear the faint hum of Atlantis, The same rhythm, the same breath. The ocean has kept its promise. Centuries pass. Travelers sail the seas and tell stories of a lost paradise beneath the waves. Philosophers speak of a place where wisdom once walked among mortals. Artists paint it in colors that never fade. Children dream of it. Scientists search for it. Poets whisper its name before sleep. Atlantis lives in them all. It lives in every act of kindness that restores balance, in every discovery that seeks to understand, not to dominate, in every human heart that still listens for the rhythm of the world. You close your eyes once more, and the sound of the sea returns, soft, endless, patient. It tells you that nothing ever truly ends. It only changes shape. Atlantis was never only a place. It was a lesson, a memory, a promise that peace is possible wherever understanding blooms. And as you drift into sleep, you realize that maybe, just maybe, you have always lived in Atlantis, not beneath the waves, but within the calm depths of your own soul. The sea breathes, you breathe, the story rests, Atlantis dreams on. And now, dear dreamer, our journey comes to rest. The waves have quieted. The city of Atlantis sleeps once more beneath the calm sea. You have walked its glowing streets, heard the whisper of its keepers, and watched the light fade into peace. As the past drifts away, you are safe here, in this moment. The world outside can wait. There is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to fix, only to breathe and rest. Let the memory of Atlantis linger like a lullaby, soft and distant, reminding you that even lost worlds find peace again. The ocean hums, the stars listen, and you are drifting, calm, safe, and deeply at ease. Good night, traveler. May your dreams be gentle and your heart as still as the sea at dawn.